All right, Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Today's daf is daf Ayin Gimel. Okay, we're going to do daf Ayin Gimel. Zug the Heilige Mishnah, the second line from the top. Yayin nesech osur v'oiser b'chol shu. Ah, what a line. Yayin nesech is osur v'oiser b'chol shu. And if it falls into yayin, then it asas b'chol shu. Min b'minoi. Right? Yayin b'yayin and mayin b'mayin b'chol shu. Which means min b'minoi, right? If you have yayin osur, yayin nesech, and yayin heter falls into yayin, or yayin nesech falls into yayin heter, it asers it. In mayin b'mayin also. If you have mayin nesech, never heard of mayin nesech, but mayin nesech, you poured water in front of a Avodah Zarah, a getchka. So that mayin becomes mayin nesech, and if other mayim shel heter and the mayim shel isur mix up, then it asas b'kol shu. Yayin b'mayim mayin b'yayin. What if it's min shaloi b'minoi b'nois and tam? It only asers if the tam of the isur is tasted. Zaklal min b'minoi b'mashu v'shloi b'minoi b'nois and tam. Yeah, isur v'heter yeridei in one line. Zaklal min b'minoi b'mashu v'shloi b'minoi b'nois and tam. Zug the Heilige Gemara. Ki Yosef Rav Dimi Rabbi Yochanan. A member from Rabbi Yochanan. Rav Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel. There was no chat. There was no WhatsApp, no emails. He was the one who brought the members from Avodah Zarah Yisrael from Rabbi Yochanan to Bavel. And he said as follows. By the way, we're going to have 4 Amoraim quoting Rabbi Yochanan. That's why I'm giving this introduction, because sometimes it wasn't clear what Rabbi Yochanan said. So Rav Dimi comes to Shem Rabbi Yochanan. He says the following halacha. Big chiddush. If somebody pours yain nesech from a barrel into a cistern that has what? That has yain shel heter. So it's min b'minoi. Says Rabbi Yochanan, afilu kala yom kulai. Even if he continues pouring yain nesech the whole day, which means that eventually you're going to have more yain nesech than yain shel heter. Says Rabbi Yochanan, a chidush nifla. Rishon bottle. The first drop of yain nesech that touches the bar, l'chayre has roiv against it, right? At that point, it still has roiv against it. So Mamela, Rishon, the first drop is bottle, and once it's bottle, then what? That yain shel isser becomes yain heter. So you could never aser, unbelievable chiddush of Rabbi Yochanan. If you pour yain nesech a whole day into a yain shel heter, bor shel heter, Rishon, kama bottle, it's known in halacha. Yeah, it becomes bottle right away. So there are 2 chidushim b'shem Rabbi Yochanan over here. Rav Dimi says, number 1, it sounds like Rabbi Yochanan says min b'minoi is not b'mashu. Because here we're talking about yayin nesech falling into a bar shel yayin heter. So what do you mean kama bottle? What do you mean? The first mashu should answer it. Teretz is, 1 chiddush Rabbi Yochanan doesn't hold min b'minoi b'mashu, number 1. Number 2, he doesn't even hold of min b'minoi b'nois and tam, because rishon bottle. So even if eventually the yayin nesech is enough, has enough to give tam, it's already bottled. Finished. What a big chiddush. Says the Gemara.
Ongoing flow.
Oh, so even an ongoing flow. Gemara said later, but if the flow is so big, if you have like mamish, a flow that in that first touch you have it overwhelms it, then that's different. Look upon him. Look at the Gemara. Rav Dimi said this tremendous chiddush from Rabbi Yochanan and asks Gemara Tanan. Our Mishnah. Yayin nesech osir v'oiseh b'chol shu my love the kanofel is sur logayateira. What's our Mishnah talking about? Where yayin nesech is falling into yayin heter, and still, what does the Mishnah say? It asses b'kol shu. It's not like Rabbi Yochanan. What happened to Rishon bottle? So where's the loy? The kanofel ateira logoyasura. Our Mishnah is not talking about where you have isser falling into heter. If that would be the case, Rabbi Yochanan's halacha would kick in. Rishon bottle. The heter would be vatal to isser. Our Mishnah is talking about where isser. Heter is falling into Isser. So the heter, the Rishon bottle works the opposite way. Now the heter is bottle to the Isser, and it's all Isser. Toshama says the Gemara, what about the Sefer of the Mishnah? Yain b'may b'nois and tam. Mishnah says the Mim shaloi b'minoi is b'nois and tam. My love, the kanofel chamer the Isur l'may dat teira. Do you have chamer of Isser that falls into mayim of heter? Oh, we're up to Ayin Gimel Amar Aleph. The Gemara says, Toshema, yayin b'mayim b'nois and tam, my love, the kanofel chamer the Isur l'may dat teira. You have yayin of Isser that falls into mayim of heter. And still, what do you see? That it asers b'nois and tam. What happened to Rabbi Yochanan's chidush of rishon bottle? Why would it be aser if the chamer shel iser is nois and tam in the mayim of heter? L'chayre, the first drop of a wine is bottle in the mayim constantly. So there's never a point where the yayin will aser the mayim. What says loy? The kanofel chamer de teir l'mayim is really the mayim are aser. The chamer is mutter. And therefore, there's no rishon bottle. The rishon bottle works the opposite way. The chamer is constantly in his bottle in the mayim of iser, and that's why the Mishnah says, "B'nois and tam, it's aser."
What's the Torah for the Havamina once we say Once we answered the ratio, the kanafel the
Why do we ask him the seifa?
Meaning you think you already answered it. Why no?
Benois and tam. Benois and tam sounds like, that there's you're saying. Okay, I'm going to tell you ask better, but like once the Gemara's answer is that it's nafel chamra de teira lamai disura, right? So that means the chamra of heter becomes isser right away. So what happens when it's nice and tam? Why is it b'nice and tam mutter? Mishnah says b'nice and tam it's mutter. Shainim are struggling with this, right? If we're saying that the chamra shel heter falls into mayim shel isser, so the rishon bottle works against being materit, right? Because the isser is on the bottom, right? Yeah, let's take this over here. Yeah, this is usser.
No,
this is
just water.
This is mayim shel isser, chamra shel heter.
Yeah.
So if you pour chamra shel heter
Into
to mayim shel isser, the first drop is what? Usser. The second drop is what? Usser. The third drop is what? Usser. So what's b'nais and tam? What happens with b'nais and tam? Garnished. It's still usser, right? Before it's usser, now it's usser. It's all usser. What is the mission of b'nais and tam? Rishonim is struggling with this. Yeah.
So in other words, every time you pour, it's what?
What is that?
You're saying like the first drop is usher.
Yeah.
Second drop is. So every time you pour it, what happens?
So the chamra shel heter becomes usser. So it's constantly usser. It's constantly ussering every drop.
Into
Yes. So the Gemara says
every pouring is there's no improvement. It just gets worse.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Correct. Right. So what's the chiluk b'nais and tam? And with ratio b'mayid yisura, and if the ratio of the seifa now we're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. The ratio of the seifa is b'mayid yisura. Seifa nami b'mayid yisura. And what's the seifa? Ketani seifa mayim b'yayin b'nais and tam. The mayim shel isur that falls into yayin shel heter asur b'nais and tam. So you see that the rishon bottle doesn't apply, right? Because it's only b'nais and tam, right? We're talking about mayim of isur, not the other way around. Mayim shel isur falls into yayin shel heter, and we're saying that it asurs b'nais and tam, but it's rishon bottle. It should all be mutter, right? Because it becomes mutter because it comes as battle in the yain shel heter.
Every drop is bottle b'shisha, right?
Every drop that falls in from here,
yes,
will become bottle to here.
Yes.
So whatever the status of this is, that will be the deciding factor, right? The bottom one will be the deciding factor.
Right.
That's the chiddush of Rabbi Yochanan. So the Gemara asks, if we're talking about mayim of Isser falling into Chamra Da'atera, so it should always be mutter like Rabbi Yochanan. So the Gemara says, Omolach Rav Dimi says, Kulam astis Natera l'gay Surah. No, so the Gemara says the whole Mishnah is talking about where the bottom is Isser and the top is Heter. The Heter is falling into the Isser. V'reisha the Kanav Chamra Da'atera l'maya Surah. And the Reisha talking about where the Chamra of Heter is falling into mayim of Isser. And save the Gnov Ma'id there, the Chamer D'Isur. So it's not a kasha on Rabbi Yochanan. Why not? Because Rabbi Yochanan is talking about where Isser falls into Heter.
Yeah.
And the Mishnah is talking about where Heter falls into Isser. That's it. Okay. Now, the bottom line question will be, if the Mishnah is talking about Heter falling into Isser, so what's B'nois and Tam? What does it mean B'nois and Tam? What's B'nois and Tam have to do with anything? Yeah. If Heter is falling into Isser and the Isser is Mavatal each drop to begin with, right, as soon as it falls in, so it'll always be Aser. What's b'nais and tam? It's only Aser b'nais and tam. Right? So that's really the kasha the Rishonim ask. The Ramban brings the B'Shem Deraiva, the Teretz. It depends which case. If it's mayim into yayin, so the yayin... Right. It's heter falling into Isser. So in one case it's yayin shel heter falling into mayim of Isser. In one case it's mayim shel heter falling into yayin shel Isser. But it's always falling. Yeah. Yes.
או שהיין נכנס למים,
Okay.
בסוף יש מצב שזה לא יהיה יין יותר.
It's true.
Just dirty water.
It's true. In other words, the mayim shel heter falls into yain shel isser. You're saying I'm going to dilute it so much,
Yeah.
it's not going to be yain anymore.
לא יהיה שם של יין עליו.
Okay, but the mayim will be mayim shel isser.
אבל אין לו שם של יין, אז ברגע שאין לו שם של יין יותר, הוא לא נקרא יין נסך.
אבל יש כזה דבר של מים, גם כן מים נסך. מים של איסור גם כן יש. אז אם המים של התר נופל בתוך היין של איסור, אז כל טיפה שנופל בתוך היין של איסור, נהיה כבר איסור גם כן. אז
רק רגע. המים של איסור, מים נסך?
רב דימי אומר שהמשנה מדבר, נופל התר לגוי איסור. That heter is falling into איסור.
התר של מה? אבל מה?
התר של מים או של יין, לא משנה.
למה לא משנה?
לא משנה שהמשנה יש רישה וספר. ברישה מדובר יין בתוך המים של איסור, בספר מדובר מים בתוך יין של איסור. אבל אין נפקא מינה בזה להלכה. Because whatever this is, the heter falling into איסור, rishon bottle is going to be bottle, and it's going to come also right away.
Right.
So even though you're right, רב שואל, אני מבין מה שאתה שואל. אתה שואל, אין על זה כבר שם יין. זה שאתה שואל, כן? אין על זה כבר שם יין. אבל הבעיה הוא, זה כבר נאסר. The מים, it's still אסר. אתה מבין? As the Shaila the Rishonim is, but what about Nois and Tam? Why does the Mishnah mention Bachalal Nois and Tam over here?
As long as there's even a mashahu of yain nesach in the glass.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It makes no difference how much water goes in. It's still usher. The thing in that glass there. Yes.
Not a mashu. You have we're talking about. You have a significant amount of whatever is on the bottom. Isser in the bottom, right?
Whatever.
And the first drop is already going to be bottle with the Isser, and it's going to become Asr itself, right?
Yeah.
It's like Hanan, Chaticha Nasas Nevela, the ganze Sugi in your Ideya. That it becomes Asr also. Okay, Zug de Gemura Vata. That was Rav Dime's Chiddush. Now again, what's Rav Dime's Chiddush? Rav Dime's Chiddush, Shem Rabbi Yochanan, is the other way around, right? When this is Heter, the bottom is Heter, Nofel is Surah Legoya Teira. That's the big Chiddush. Isser falls into Heter, Rishon bottle, and even if you overpower the heter with a bunch of isser, since the first, second, third, fourth, that drop becomes this bottle with the heter, so it never becomes aser. That's Rabbi Yochanan's big chiddush. Okay. Ki aser Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef amar Rabbi Yochanan. He said, Rabbi Yochanan said it a little differently. What did he say? Hamora yain eschem mit tzarzer cotton lebar. Afilu kol yom kulei rishon bottle, bedavka tzarzer cotton deloi nafesh amudei, v'chavet nafesh amudei loi. He says Rabbi Yochanan was only saying the chiddush of rishon bottle if you're pouring it like this. Yeah? On a tzarzer cotton. Like this. So there's not, right? If you're pouring it like this, that's no good. If you're pouring it like this, tzarzer cotton, right? Rashi has a gears of tziltzil cotton. Drip, drip, drip.
Right.
The drip, drip effect. Then you say rishon bottle. But if it's one big, gigantic flow from a chavias, you're not going to say rishon
Is there a
bottle.
shiur for that? Or?
Not clear. It's not clear. Okay, but either way, he's being magdirit, he's being... he's what?
Quantifying.
Yeah, quite. He's narrowing it down, so to speak, that it's not just a huge flow of a chavias into heter.
Right.
Stream versus drop by drop.
There you go. A stream versus drop by drop.
Right.
That's in one gears in the Rishonim. Yeah. You know, like some Rishonim say, it means literally drop by drop. Some Rishonim say no, it's both are stream. The question is how large the stream is. Yeah, is it a narrower stream or is it a wider stream? Hard to quantify, yeah.
So what difference does that make? The size of the stream, what difference does that make?
It's easier to say rishon bottle if the size of the stream is narrower, is smaller. Yeah. That's just a svar. Okay. So the Gemara weiter. Ki also Ravin Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Yeah, the fourth Amora is quoting Rabbi Yochanan, and here, seemingly, outwardly, he's talking about a whole different chiddush that Rabbi Yochanan said. But Rashi is going to explain. You'll see from Ravin and the next Amoira, Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda, you'll see that they argue actually on Rav Dimi and Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef. But let's see what he said first. Yayin nesach shenofel lebar. Okay, this is very interesting, okay? Here we have a third cup, right? You have yayin nesach. This coffee is going to be yayin nesach, okay? Yayin nesach shenofel lebar, okay? And now the bar, what's in the bar? Very good.
Right.
Excellent question. In the bar, you have yayin shel heter. So now, in this bar, you have yayin nesach and yayin shel heter mixed in together. Now, what's the halacha min b'minoi?
Bottle.
Min b'minoi b'mashu. It's not bottle, right?
It is.
The whole thing. No, the Mishnah. The Mishnah says,
It's not much.
yayin b'yayin b'kolshu, which means everything becomes aser here. Right? If you have yayin nesech, a drop of yayin nesech falls into yayin shel
In other
heter,
words, you can have 40 gallons.
Min b'minoi.
40 gallons of yayin heter, and 750 milliliters of yayin isser, and the whole thing is usser.
the whole thing is aser. Min b'mina b'kolshu, yes. So now, this is another chayda. If you have yayin nesech fall into a bar, a cistern of yayin shel heter, the whole thing becomes aser. Now says Ravin b'shem Rabbi Yochanan, a tremendous chiddush again. Yayin nesech shenafel bar v'nofel sham kiton shel mayim, and then a kiton shel mayim, a jug of water falls in. Now this jug of water has more than the yayin nesech that fell originally into the bar.
Right.
So let's say you have a spoonful of yayin nesech,
Right.
and you have a cup full of mayim shel heter, mayim.
Right.
Now, the mayim falls in after the yayin nesach fell into the bar, which means it asered the whole bar already, right? So you don't have enough mayim to be vatal all the yayin in the bar, but you technically have enough mayim to be vatal the yayin nesach.
Right.
Okay, but lamaisa, the kitin shel mayim is a little too,
Well, you're saying it's
little too late, right?
It doesn't help. It doesn't help.
Says Rabbi Yochanan, a tremendous chiddush. Yayin nesach shenofel bar v'nofel sham kitin shel mayim. Roy nesach heter kilo einoi. Put on your Torah glasses, and you review the yayin shel heter as if it's not there. And now you just have to measure the mayim against the yayin nesach. V'hashar mayim roven olav mevatel enoisoi. You can use the mayim to be vatel to drop the spoonful of yayin nesach hagam. The yayin nesach aser the yayin shel heter beforehand. But it's royin keilu einoi. Tremendous chedushim Rabbi Yochanan is saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, ki oser of Shmuel bar Yehuda amar Rabbi Yochanan. By the way, Rashi points out right away. You see from Ravin b'shem Rabbi Yochanan, he argues in Rav Dimi's chiddush b'shem Rabbi Yochanan. Yeah, why? Because Rav Dimi said kama bottle. So you have a spoonful of yayin nesach into a bar of heter. L'chayr, it shouldn't even be a problem to begin with, because rishon bottle, right? According to Rav Dimi's chiddush b'shem Rabbi Yochanan. So you see that Ravin argues on that chiddush. Altogether, he has to come out to royin keilu einoi. That's the only way to be matter it, right? Why?
המים זה לא מינו.
Right. The mayim is b'she'eno mino, min b'she'eno mino is bottle.
הוא מבטל לגמרי את היין.
Yayin nesach. Beautiful.
לא יין.
Zeo, bidyuk.
ביטל אותו.
Ken. Bitel oto min b'she'eno mino is bottle.
הוא כבר לא יין.
Ken.
זה העניין. זה מההתחלה.
Mayim with the yayin nesach is min b'she'eno mino. If you say royin ki'ilu einoi,
זה מה שאמרתי בהתחלה.
so you have enough mayim, which is einoi mino, to be mevatel the min of the einoi mino of yayin nesach.
So how can you say no change? It's Metzias, it's there.
What do you mean Metzias it's there?
It's
The yayin nesach is a
Yayin
Metzias.
Nesach is in the
No, but he's talking.
I know,
about,
but the mayim-
He's talking about a tablespoon of yayin nesach.
That fell into a bar.
המים מבטל את זה לגמרי. המים עושה את זה משהו, משהו אחר.
Huh?
Yes.
Min beinoi mino. Min beinoi mino doesn't aser b'mashu. It only asers b'nois and tam, so there's more than 60.
בקיצור, זה הופך אותו למשקיע אחר לגמרי.
Okay, zog the Gemara weiter. So that was Ravin b'shem Rabbi Yochanan. Ki osir of Shmuel bar Yehuda am Rabbi Yochanan. Yeah, this the fourth Hamoed b'shem Rabbi Yochanan tonight. Lo yishon shlof kitin shel mayim tchila. When do we say that the mayim is mevatel the yayin nesach? That's only if the mayim and the yayin nesach got mixed up together first, right? And then the yayin shel heter was poured in, and then once the yayin shel heter is poured in, together with the yayin nesach, if they team up with the yayin nesach, then you don't have enough of mayim to be mevatel it. That's what Rabbi Yochanan said. If nafel kitin shlemayim tchila, and it was already mevatel the yayin nesach, then that's okay. It's not chayzer v'neir, it's called in halacha. It doesn't get reawakened once the yayin shel heter falls in. Avaloi nafel shem kitin shlemayim tchila, matzim in asminoi v'neir. Okay, this word v'neir, Rashi says, means something else than it conventionally means. V'neir over here means it's strengthened. In other words, if the yayin nesach fell into a bar of yayin shel heter, once they team up, if you pour in mayim afterwards and the mayim is more than the original yayin nesach that fell in, it's not going to matter.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Because it already became awesome. Min b'mino, it asked the whole bar already.
Right.
Yeah, so teamed up. Too late. So Machloikas Ravin and Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda exactly what Rabbi Yochanan said. Did Rabbi Yochanan say that the mayim could be mevatel the yayin nesach even if it falls in after the yayin nesach fell into the bar with the other yayin, or only if the mayim was mevatel the yayin nesach first? Then if you pour in yayin shel heter, it's not chayzer v'neir.
You have a tablespoon of yain nesach.
Yes.
And you pour water into that tablespoon.
Yes.
And both of them go into the bore.
Yes.
Yes.
In other words, yeah, exactly.
Right.
You could say it that way. But either way, the yayin nesach was already this battle with the mayim.
Yeah.
And then you add yayin shalata. So we don't say that the yayin shalata now teams up with the yayin nesach.
Right.
And it's choyzer v'neir
Right.
to become unbottled from the mayim, because the mayim can't be mevatel both of them together.
Right.
Okay, that's the chiddush of Rabbi Yochanan b'shem Rav Shmuel b'Rida b'shem Rabbi Yochanan. Okay, so we have a big machlokas over here, whether you say royin ki'ilu einai. Okay, zug de gemura ikad the masnon la masnisim. Some said over this Rav Shmuel b'Rida b'shem Rabbi Yochanan on our Mishnah itself. Now Mishnah says yayin b'yayin b'kol shehu. Yain nesach that falls into yain shaleter asas bekol shu because min b'mino Rav Shmuel b'yidam Rabbi Yochanan and that Rav Shmuel b'yidam came to Rabbi Yochanan Leishon shlof Hashem kiddush mayim. That's only if mayim didn't fall in. Avol nafal Hashem kiddush mayim royin es heter kilo eino v'ashayim ma'am b'dov b'dov v'vatl noisai. But if mayim falls in, then we can view the heter as if it's not there, and the mayim is mevatl the yain nesach. Whereas mayim ben l'masla masnisa mayim ben l'masla deravin. What's a chiluk if you learn of Shmuel b'yidam Rabbi Yochanan on the Mishnah or you learn it on Ravin? Gemara says very simple. Man the masna masnisin laboy tchila. If you learn Rav Shmuel b'Yidam B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan on the Mishnah, he said it on our Mishnah, then you don't need the mayim to be mevatel the yain nesach tchila. Even if the mayim fell in afterwards, we could say roin ki'ilu einai. And man the masna the Ravin boy tchila. But if you learn Rav Shmuel b'Yidam B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan, he said it on Ravin. That means he's chaylik on Ravin B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan, and he says that it's only if the mayim fell in with the yain nesach tchila, was mavatl at first, and then the yain shalata fell in. That's when we don't say that it's choyzer v'neir. Okay. So bottom line, we have a machloikas amiroim. What exactly Rabbi Yochanan said? Did Rabbi Yochanan say that the mayim is mavatl the yain nesach, even if the yain nesach fell into the bar of yain heter first, right? And it really was it asked already the entire bar.
Yeah. Right.
Says Ravin b'Shem Rabbi Yochanan. If the mayim falls in afterwards, you could ignore the yayin shel heter and pretend it's not there, and you're only seeing the yayin nesach, and the mayim can be mevatel the yayin nesach. Unbelievable. Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda b'Shem Rabbi Yochanan says, nisht. Not at all. That's not what Rabbi Yochanan said. Rabbi Yochanan said, it's only if the yayin nesach was battled by the mayim first. Then if yayin shel heter falls in afterwards, then the bittul doesn't become ois. You can't undo.
The bore is empty, and the yayin nesach goes in,
and then
the
mayim
water
falls
comes in after that.
Yes.
And then after that, the more. Yeah, okay, right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then we don't say the yayin shel heter undoes the bittul of the mayim.
Yeah.
Right? That's all. That's all it says. Doesn't undo the bittul. Okay, that's it. Itmer zug the heilige gemur vater. Last line on Gimel Amar Aleph. Itmer yayin nesach shenofel abar v'nofel sham kitten shel mayim. It falls into a bar of yayin shel heter, and then a kitten shel mayim falls in. So the Gemara Omar Chizkiah says, the Heilige Amoida Chizkiah says, Hegdilu be'isser aser, hegdilu be'heter mutter. Depends what fell in last. If hegdilu be'isser, which means that the isser fell in last, which means the yayin nesach fell in last.
Yeah, right.
Right. You had the yayin shel heter with the mayim in a bar.
Right.
Then the yayin nesach falls in. Then it's aser. Then you don't say, like you see the heter ki'ilu einoi. You don't see the yain shel heter ki'ilu. You don't say that.
And it doesn't make any difference how much yayin shel heter and how much water was in the bore. That's irrelevant.
That's irrelevant.
That makes no difference.
Well, 1 second. It's only if the yain shel heter together with the yain nesach, when they team up, you don't have enough mayim to be mevatel both of them together. You only have enough mayim to be mevatel the yain nesach.
No, but I'm saying, if, for example, there's yain shel heter in the bore,
Yeah.
and you pour in a whole bunch of just water, right?
Yeah.
So basically, the water maybe, can you be bavatal the wine with the water?
A yain nesach can be bottled with water. Yeah, that's of course.
No. I'm talking yain shel heter.
Yeah.
And then the yain nesach falls in, the third thing that falls in.
After the water and yain heter,
yeah,
that's what he
right.
says.
Yeah.
Higdilu b'ser aser. No.
Okay.
We don't say royin ki'ilu eina because the yain nesach right away is attracted to the yain of heter.
Okay, even though
As is the yain heter, and the mayim can't be mevatel.
Right, even though there's water in the. Okay. Fine, good,
Higdilu beheter, mutter. But what if you had the yain nesach in the mayim first? So yayin nesach was when this battle with the mayim. And then yayin shel heter falls in, doesn't undo the bittul, and then it's mutter. So Chizkiah says it depends what fell in last. If the yayin nesach falls in last in a bar of yayin shel heter with mayim, the yayin nesach right away teams up with the yayin shel heter, and it's not bottle. But if the yayin nesach was with the mayim and the yayin shel heter fell in last, then it's mutter because the yayin shel heter cannot be mitzvah for the yayin nesach and it undo the bittul. Omer Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbi Zera, leime Chizkiah v'Rabbi Yochanan beplukta de Rabbi Eliezer v'Rabbanan kemiflagi. There's machlokes Chizkiah and Rabbi Yochanan, and it could be that their machlokes depends on a machlokes tanoim Rabbi Eliezer and the Rabbanan. Again, Chizkiah says it depends what falls in last, and Rabbi Yochanan says it doesn't matter what falls in last. Royan ki ilu eino, it's always bottle. So the Gemara says, I have a machlokes tanoim detnan. We learned in the Mishnah. Yeah, the Mishnah is in Arla. A Mishnah in Arla. So or shel chulim shel truma. Shenaflu lo toichu isa. You have a starter of chulin, a starter of truma that fall into a dough.
Yeah.
Loi bezek de lachametz v'loi bezek de lachametz. You don't have in each starter. It's not enough to make it into sourdough. But together, when it's starf of a chimtzu, but together they can do it and they can make the dough into sourdough. Rabbi Eliezer achronani ba. You always go after what it fell in last. If the chulin fell in last, then it's mutter. If the truma fell in last, then it's aser. The chachamim maimrim. Yeah, it's never aser. It doesn't matter. It's never aser. Gemara says unless the truma has k'dei lahachmetz.
Why?
Oh, Gemara says why. So Rabbi Yirmiyah wanted to shtel zu the machlokes of Chizkiah and Rabbi Yochanan by yayin nesach to the machlokes of Rabbi Eliezer and the Rabbanan by se'ar shel chulin shel truma. So in other words, Chizkiah who says it depends if the yayin nesach falls in last. We'll hold like Rabbi Eliezer who says it depends what fell in last. Right. If the truma fell in last, it's aser. If the chulin fell in last, it's mutter. Chizkiah holds if yayin nesach falls in last, it's aser. If the yayin heter falls in last, it's mutter. So it's mamish, echoing Rabbi Eliezer. Chizkiah is echoing Rabbi Eliezer. And Rabbi Yochanan said it doesn't matter. It's always mutter. Is echoing the chachamim. So the Gemara says v'tizbra not so fast. V'omer Abaye said that even according to Rabbi Eliezer, lo yishana l'shakida masilikas iser. That's only if you remove the Isser. In other words, even if the heter falls in last, it's only mutter if you remove the Isser piece. But if you didn't remove the truma, then it's Asr. So Chizkiah the Amar Kaman. You're not going to be able to match Chizkiah even to Rabbi Eliezer, because Rabbi Eliezer says that the chulin, when the chulin falls in last, it's only mutter if you remove the truma. But Chizkiah says that if the yayin heter falls in last, it's always mutter, even if you leave the yayin nesach inside. So Chizkiah can't be matched up with Rabbi Eliezer. Says the Gemara, Elohacha beroyin kemiflagi. The machlokes Chizkiah and Rabbi Yochanan has nothing to do with the machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbanan. Yeah, the machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbanan is machlokes Zevazai Goyim. So a whole different machlokes. Machlokes by yayin nesach with Chizkiah and Rabbi Yochanan is the machlokes where they say royin. Lechizkiah less they royin. He doesn't hold of royin. Right? He doesn't hold if the yayin nesach falls in last. Right? Royin as yayin heter kilu eino. I can be in this battle with the mime. He doesn't hold of royin. The whole concept of royin is a chiddush. Chizkiah doesn't hold of this concept of royin.
Again, royin is what?
Royin means like this. Royin means that if you have mayim and yayin heter in a bar,
right,
and yayin nesach falls in,
right,
it could only be in this battle if the mayim stands on its own, because the mayim will be min b'shein aminai.
Right.
But if it teams up with the yayin shel heter, it won't be battle, because together with the yayin shel heter, there's not enough mayim.
Right.
So in order to say that it's mutter, you have to say royin as a yayin heter ki ilu einai.
Yeah.
So Chizkiah doesn't hold to that. Right? It's a chiddush. And that's why he says if the yayin nesach is last, it's aser. Okay. But Rabbi Yochanan holds of royin. Yeah, the Rabbi Yochanan is slay. And that's the machlokes. It's a whole different machlokes than Rabbi Eliezer and the Rabbanan. Asks the Gemara, Gemara's going to challenge now, mi isla Rabbi Yochanan royin? Is it true that Rabbi Yochanan holds royin? V'oboyim minei Rabbasim Rabbi Yochanan shnei koises. Echot shel chulin. Ve'echot shel truma. You have 2 cups of, let's say 2 cups of wine, right? One is chulin, made of chulin grapes, and one is the truma grapes, right? Umozgon, and then you dilute it with water. The irvan zebazeh, and then you mix the 2 cups. The chulin wine that was diluted with water, and the truma wine that was diluted with water, you mix it up in one big cup, pitcher. So zebazeh, mahu, what's the halacha? V'loi pashet lei, and he wasn't pashet the halacha. If Rabbi Yochanan really holds of royin, why wasn't he paishet it? Yeah? L'chayr it's a pasha to teretz. Royin es a yayin shal truma ki ilu einoi. And you could say, royin es a yayin shal chulin ki ilu einoi. You could say the truma is this battle with the mayim. Right? L'chayr you have a pasha to teretz to this shiloh. Why wasn't Rabbi Yochanan pasha that if he really holds of royin? Says the Gemara, you're right, mikor le pashat lei. At that point, when Rabasi asked the shiloh from Rabbi Yochanan, he didn't really come up with the chiddush of royin or didn't agree to it yet. But at the end of the day, when it came to the sugi of yayin nesach, Rabbi Yochanan already decided that he paskins or he holds the svar of royin, and that's why the halacha would be by koises of chul and truma. Also, the halacha would be it's mutter because of royin. Amar Rabasi, Amar Itmanami, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Base koises echad shalchol echad truma. Mizgan versus zeh royin set kilo einoi. Vashar mayim rabban ol mevatel. I say the mayim can be mevatel the yain shal truma, and it's all good. So lemaisa, just to sum it up, to put a button on this, two huge chidushim on Daf Ayin Gimel, two very very big chidushim that comes out from Rabbi Yochanan. Number one, the chidush of rishon bottle. Number two is royin ki ilu einoi. Two tremendous chidushim b'shem Rabbi Yochanan, and with that we're going to move on to the next part of the Mishnah. Zug the Heilige Mishnah Vater. Mishnah said zeh klal.
Which how far down? What's it?
2 dots, middle.
Oh,
2 dots on Gimel base. Zeh klal.
Right, okay.
Min b'mina b'mashu, sheloi b'minoi b'neisen tam. Mishnah says, min b'mashu sheloi b'neisen tam. Rav Shmuel Damri Tavayu, kol isurin shevatera. It's going on all the isurin shevatera. B'minon b'mashu, sheloi b'mina b'neisen tam. Yeah? Depends. If it's mina, it's a mashu. It asers b'mashu. Sheloi b'mina, only asers b'neisen tam.
Yeah.
So zeh klal, when the Mishnah says zeh klal lasuya may lasuya, kol isurin shevatera. Yeah, look, yeah, it's all isurin. Rav and Shmuel Chachmei Bavel understood our Mishnah to say zeh klal is kol isurin shevatera. Rabbi Yochanan v'Shlokish Chachmei Eretz Yisrael Damir Tavayu, they understood our Mishnah kol isurin shevatera bein b'min and bein shloi b'min b'neisen tam. The truth is, even min b'minoi only asers if you have enough of the isur b'neisen tam. Yes. Chutz mitevel v'yayin nesech.
זה החידוש.
Wow.
במינה במשהו, למה?
כי זה העצם עצמו.
No.
חומר יין נסח, or why tevel? The Gemara is going to speak about it in a moment.
Because these things
אותו
are.
דבר, גם תבל גם כן.
איזה, למה tevel יין נסח זה ביחד?
ברגע שתבל נכנס, אתה לא יודע מה תבל, מה לא תבל.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
זה בכל איסור.
No.
No, every איסור, you put חזיר inside.
This piece of wheat and that piece of wheat. I mean, you know.
תבל זה מין במינו, תמיד תבל מינו.
לא, you have tevel from chitim,
Yeah.
and so'irim shel heter. מה זה tevel? tevel זה, you have a kri, and you didn't give meiser, תרומה meiser. בסדר.
אתה לא יודע.
אז כל הקרי תבל, אז אם אתה לוקח מקרי זה לקרי אחר, קרי שכבר נסעשר, אז זה קרי של התר. אז אתה לוקח איסור של תבל, ואתה מערב בזה, you mix it up.
בלגן שלם. אתה לא יכול להוציא את זה.
This is משהו.
אתה לא יכול להוציא את זה.
So he says it's b'mashu, but it's only yayin nesach and tevel. But all other isurim, if let's say you have a piece of chazer,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
that falls into chicken soup,
Right.
yeah.
Or
Or no, falls into minoi. I don't know how you say minoi. I'm not sure. What would be minoi? The minoi shel heter. What would be minoi shel heter? Minoi shel heter. Let's say.
חתיכות של בשר ביחד. חתיכות של בשר, אתה לא יכול לדעת.
Treifa.
No.
A treifa. A treifa. Yeah, a treifa. Yeah, kosher animal, which is a treifa. You're not allowed to eat it.
Yeah.
With a with a kosher behemoth. So min b'minoi would be only b'nais and tam.
Deer meat and the
Yeah,
chazer?
yeah. If you have a soup of treifa, you have a soup of kosher
Right.
animal, like the same min, just one was a treifa, one was shechted,
Yeah.
and it gets mixed together. So Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish say it only asks b'nais and tam. It's min b'minoi. Min b'minoi b'mashu is only for yayin nesach and tevel. That was Chachmei Eretz Yisrael. Yesh lanu machlokes gedola between Chachmei Bavel, Rav and Shmuel, and Chachmei Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. Rav and Shmuel say min b'minoi b'mashu is b'kol asurin shebatayra. Kol asurin shebatayra min b'minoi b'mashu. Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish say min b'minoi b'kol asurin shebatayra is b'nais and tam. Only by yayin nesach and tevel min b'minoi b'mashu. Tzachim lavin it. Why? Why yayin nesach and tevel min b'minoi b'mashu? Let's see.
If it's not nos and tam, then what?
אני אגיד לך, ביין,
If it's not nois and tam b'shar isurin,
Right.
it's mutter.
ביין זה חומר
Only asers if you taste the iser. What?
ביין זה חומר דיין נסך,
Oh,
בטבל זה, כי אתה לא יכול, you cannot separate it, that's finished.
but every mixture you can't separate. If you could separate it, you have to separate.
אבל בטבל אין עניין של נותן טעם בטבל, אין נותן טעם. גם יין נסך וגם זה, אין נותן טעם, איך תדע את הטעם? זה אין נותן טעם.
No, but it's
the shiur knows in time. It doesn't
the shiur, yeah.
doesn't mean
It
actually.
doesn't. Yeah, that's right. Min b'mino, there's never really the
Not
taste of
not.
Isser. Not right.
So it's
Yeah.
not, it's not
Yeah. Okay, let's see the Gemara, because the Gemara is going to speak about it. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan Shlosh Dam Tavai called Isur Shabbatot Ben B'mina Ben Shaloi B'mina B'lesin Tam. All the Surah in the Torah is Ben B'mina Ben Shaloi B'mina B'lesin Tam. Chutz Mitevel V'Yayin Nesach B'mina B'mashu Shaloi B'lesin Tam. Zeh Klal. And then when the Mishnah says Zeh Klal, Lasuye Tevel. Our Mishnah is talking about Yayin Nesach, and the Mishnah says Min B'mina B'mashu. It says Zeh Klal. What's it adding in Zeh Klal? The way Rabbi Yochanan Shlosh understood the Mishnah Zeh Klal, it's adding Tevel. Now the Gemara wants to know. In a moment, the Gemara is going to ask, why is Tevel unique? But before that, the Gemara is a brisa like each one. Tanya Kavsei Rav Shmuel, Tanya Kavsei Rav Shlakish, Tanya Kavsei Rav Shmuel, call it Sukkot Shabbatayim B'mina B'mashu Shloi B'mina B'lesin Tam. And before it's a brisa like Rav and Shmuel. Tanya Kavsei Rav Shlakish, call it Sukkot Shabbatayim B'mina Shloi B'mina B'lesin Tam. All the surah and even B'mina, Min B'mina is B'lesin Tam. Chutz Tevel V'Yayin Nesach, B'mina B'mashu Shloi B'mina B'lesin Tam. Those are the only two isurim that Min B'mina is B'mashu. The Gemara asks, Bishlemi Yayin Nesach Mashem Chumra Davod is Kechavim. I understand Yayin Nesach because the Chumra Davod is Zorah, like you said. Elo Tevel my time. What's the reason by Tevel that Min B'mina B'mashu? Why is it Shoyne? Why is it different than Kolasaret? Kshar Yisur Shabbat Torah. Says the Gemara, you know why? Keheteiroi Kachesurai. Anaya Svora by Tevel to Aser Min B'mina B'mashu. Why? Because when it comes to be Mater Tevel, it's also B'mashu. So Keheteiroi Kachesurai. The Omar Shmuel.
One more time. What? That okay.
The Omar Shmuel Chita Achas Peteres Sakri. When it comes to Truma,
Yes.
all you got to do is take one tiny kernel.
Right. And
Right?
then matter everything.
And it's matter everything.
Right.
So once we see by the heter, when it comes to be matter tevel,
Yeah.
all you got to do is take a mashu from the kri and it's matter the tevel. Kehatero kachesuro. So too when it comes to asering a mixture of tevel, it also asers it b'mashu.
Right.
Yeah, kehatero. It's a nice svara of kehatero.
Well, the thing is, by Yain Nesach and Tevel, these are unique situations. It's different than everything else.
Yes.
It's by etzem. There's something very special about both of these things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Something special. One is Yain Nesach Chumra David Zara.
Well, it's
By Tevel is kehatero kachesura.
like Kachim, for example, right?
Okay.
Right.
You want to jump the gun, huh? You want to go to Kachim already? We're gonna do Kachim. Ezra Hashem.
Okay.
Zvachim and Menach is coming up.
Alavai.
By the way, Horius, we're gonna start Horius on Wednesday. Should be really part of Kachim, right? Okay. So reason why we're doing it in Ezekiel, we'll talk about it.
Everything there.
Yeah. Taina ma'ochav me'aser tevel oiser b'kolshu min shloim b'nim znap. So we like Meisel's a svara, a raya that tevel asers b'kolshu b'minoi. Okay. So bottom line is. Machloikis chachmer tzachmer bovel, whether min b'mina b'mashu b'kol esur and only b'yayin esach and tevel.
Yeah.
Now I just want to end off with a halacha, a very interesting halacha in Oida Chaim that's relevant today. We spoke about the chiddush of Rabbi Yochanan in the beginning of today's daf, that Rav Dimi and Rav Yosef Bar Yitzchak, Rav Yitzchak Bar Yosef, they came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, and they said over b'shem Rabbi Yochanan the idea of kama bottle, rishon bottle. If you have isser falling into heter, right? As soon as it touches the heter, the first drop of that stream of that kiluach is nisbatel, and it's mutter, right?
Oh.
Even if that's a b'yochan's chiddur, isser falling into heter.
Yeah.
Okay, so it actually has a halachic ramification nowadays.
One
Nowadays,
second. And
this
it
idea
just-
of rishon
it's-
bottle.
it just as long as it's bottle barov, then that's
Yeah.
right.
As long as it's right.
Yeah.
So even if you overpower it with Isser eventually, because
Yeah.
it keeps
Right.
doesn't matter because Rishon bottle.
Yeah.
So the Shulchan Aruch in Simon Kof Pei Beis in Orach Chaim says if you have a koshel bracha, we know,
Yeah.
right, a kiddush, havdalah, birch samazon, any koshel bracha,
Yeah.
halach is if you drink from it beforehand, it becomes kos pogum. You can't use it as koshel bracha. Right? If you take a drink from it beforehand, it becomes pogum and it's puzzle. You have to masaken it, so you pour, right? You pour.
That's the pshat in pouring a few drops of
Maziga,
water.
yeah.
That's in pouring a few drops of water into the bottle of wine before you make kiddush.
Right.
No,
No.
Yeah. No,
Because
is
they
that,
didn't do
that's why they do it to make sure that it's not pogum.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
This Kabbalah.
It's Kabbalah also.
Kabbalah.
Kabbalah.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's not just limited to one thing. Okay, all right, fine.
Yeah.
If you want to מתקן יין
Yeah,
שהוא פגום, ששתו ממנו,
Yeah.
לקידוש אתה חייב להוסיף עליו מים.
Ah, so one of the ways to be masakin a kais pogum
Yeah.
is like they're saying, it's what is Shulchan Aruch and Simon Pei Beis. They add a little more wine, you add a little more mayim, and that's masakin
something,
it.
right, yeah, right.
There's another way to be masakin, Shulchan Aruch says, is you take the cup that was pogum,
And you wash it out.
and you pour it back into the
wine.
bottle.
Right,
Into the bottle. You pour it back into the bottle,
Right.
and then you pour the cup again.
right.
That's masakin it. So the shaila is, how much...
Batal barov is what you're saying.
Why? Because
you
Rishon,
Right.
bottle.
Okay.
Rishon, the Shlosh Shulchan Aruch is because when you pour, even if you don't have enough in the bottle to be mevatel the entire kais,
Right.
but since when you start pouring it in, that first drop, you have enough in the bottle to be mevatel that first drop. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Erechaim Sukuf Beis, Rishon bottle. Mamash use Rabbi Yochanan's Chiddush to be matter kais pogum when you pour it back
So you're
into
saying
the
even
bottle of
though
wine.
it's a continuous stream,
Yes.
it doesn't have to be drop and drop and drop and drop. Even if it's a continuous stream, it's still mutter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still mutter, like Rabbi Yochanan says over here. Very interesting application.
Yeah.
Erechaim of the din of.
So you're saying, how is it applicable to
Yeah, if you sit at your table and somebody drinks from a kais shel bracha before he makes the bracha on it, you
Right.
pour it.
Right.
Yeah, that's the whatchamacallit. Okay, the truth is today's daf is really daf ayin dalid. Okay, we're a little bit behind. So I just at least want to do the Mishnah on ayin dalid, so we kind of dip into today's daf.
Okay.
Okay, zuk the Heilige Mishnah. Elu asurim v'oisrim b'chol shu. These are the types of isurim that aser b'kol shu. Afilu be'elef le'batel.
Yeah.
What are the isurim?
Right.
Yayin nesach, right? Yayin nesach falls into a barrel of yayin heter.
Right.
It asers.
Right.
V'avodas kechavim. If
Right.
you have avodah zarah that gets mixed up with another 1,000 sudas that are not avodah zarahs,
Right.
all of it becomes aser. V'oidas levuven, and you have hide that came from an animal where you tore the heart of the animal out in front of avodah zarah. So that hide that gets mixed up, it's aser ba'ana. So that hide gets mixed up with 1,000 other oidas, all of them become
It
aser.
makes no difference what type of a hide it is.
That's it. The
Right.
shara niskel, the egla rufa, a shara niskel, which means it was already nigmar dino lemisa, right? Because it killed a person. So now that shard becomes mixed up with another 1,000 shvarim. All of them become aser ba'ana. The egla rufa, or a calf
Right.
that was designated as an egla rufa,
Right.
it mixed up with other agalim. V'tzipoire mitzayra, and the birds of a mitzayra. That's also, if it gets mixed up with other birds, all of them are aser. V'sar nazir, or petach hamar, or basa b'cholah, v'sar mishtalech, v'chul shitach v'azara, harei elu asurin v'oisrim b'kol shu. They mamish aser, they themselves are aser b'hana, and the aser b'kol shu, even if you have 1,000 other shvarim, chedema, it doesn't matter. Says the Gemara, Tana mai kechashiv. Why is the Tana only listing these items?
Yeah.
If davar shebamini kechashiv, listen na mechatichas nevela. If the reason why it's not bottled is because davar chashiv, all
Yeah.
these items are a davar shebaminion. When you sell it on the market, right? The guy doesn't sell it in bulk. He counts each one that he sells to you. That's called davar shebaminion. It's davar chashiv. That's why it's
Yeah.
not bottled.
Right.
So listen na mechatichas nevela. Chatichas nevela also is the davar shebaminion. So why not
Right.
put that in the list? And if it's just a surei ana, right? All these items in the Mishnah that are listed in the Mishnah as a surei ana, listen, na mechametz b'Pesach. So chametz b'Pesach is also asabano. Why'd you miss chametz b'Pesach? No, we only mention whatever has two criteria. Davar shebeminyan ve'surei ana. What's unique in the Mishnah is the reason why I feel about lebatel is because it has Isurei Ana, the Isur Ana. It also has Davar Shebaminius, the Davar Chashiv, because you don't sell it in bulk, you don't sell it in packs, you sell it individually, and you're charged for each one separately.
Like eggs, davar shebaminion.
Oh, is eggs a Davar Shebaminion or not?
Yeah, of course.
That's a
Well,
Sharon
that's
brachas.
today, now.
No, it's a Sharon brachas because whether you sell them by the dozen or you sell each.
Oh, it's a good shaila. We'll talk about it in a moment. I just want to finish to the next Mishnah. V'lisni agoyze perech v'rimoyne badon, the Davar Shebaminion v'surei Ana. Also list those other two, agoyze perech v'rimoyne badon, right? Ardlin klei akerem.
What is Badon? What is it?
It's a place that grows the
Okay,
pomegranates of Badon.
Okay.
And let's say it's Isser Ardlin klei akerem, which is also Badon, and it's this out of Be'elif,
Yeah.
right? You have to throw all of them out. So why didn't you mention those as well? They fit the criteria of the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, no, because a tonally hasam. We already learned in the Mishnah over there in Arla. Arla, klai kedem. If we're listening to Kikar Shabal Abayis le'in Chametz Pesach, right? Kikar Shabal Abayis is a davar shabaminyan. It's davar chashuv. Right? Kikar Shabal Nachtam are smaller. They're not a davar shabaminyan. Kikar Shabal Abayis that are chametz, al chayr are aser b'hano, and they're also davar shabaminyan, so they fit both criteria. Why don't you listen in our Mishnah?
Again, we're talking about what? Loaves from a balbayis?
Yeah, he bakes it in his own house.
Loaves from a baker.
Yeah, a private guy who has a kikkar and chametz. So why do you mention it? It's aser b'hano. It's davar shabaminyan. It's the word man shamas lamar l'kiva tonali hasam l'kiva moisav avkei Shabal Abayis. It's also mentioned there l'kiva's moisav that as well. Harei elu, the Mishnah says harei elu asudin v'oisrin b'kolshu. What's harei elu lamutamai? If it doesn't fit these two criteria, then it's not included in the list of the Mishnah. Now, Rabbi Kiva Eger, in Shulchan Aruch Siman Yud Aleph, the first Hagah in Orei Chaim, has a shaila. What if you have a chut of tzitzis that was nerag, was woven, sheloi lishma, sheloi l'shem mitzvah tzitzis. Tzitzis has to be lishma.
I know.
So you have one of them was nisarev with, let's say, the 7 other chutim that are
You have
lishma.
no idea which one it is.
Is it batel or dernisht?
מה שבע חוטים?
One chut of the tzitzis was nerag, was nitva,
Actually, 4 chutz.
sheloi lishma,
They're double.
they doubled over.
yeah, yeah.
So you have a roiv that are lishma, let's say the other 3, and one is sheloi lishma, and they got mixed up.
Right.
Is it batel? Can you use it for the mitzvah of tzitzis because it's batel? Or is it davar shebaminyan? Because you need a certain amount for the tzitzis, and you have to count it, right? You have to make sure that it's... So that's a shaila if it's davar shebaminyan or not.
Right.
Or it's not davar shebaminyan, because in the market, they do sell them in bulk. It's just for the mitzvah, you have to count it to make sure for the mitzvah. So when you need the minyan for the mitzvah, is that called a davar shebaminyan in your bittul?
Yeah.
A very interesting shaila. Trubas Hadeshin has the same shaila by Ner Chanukah. Ner Chanukah is Aser Ba'ano. You can't have a Noah from Ner Chanukah, right? So what if it gets mixed up with other Neiros? So the shaila becomes, is that called a davar shebaminyan? Is that called davar shebaminyan because it need 8 candles of Chanukah?
By neighbors, the yeshlo material, because after Hanukkah,
Okay, you have to burn it. You can't have enough from it. No.
if you didn't use it for the mitzvah,
Yeah, but one that you used for the mitzvah got mixed up with others that weren't used for the mitzvah. That's the shaila.
then you can't.
Because the davar shebaminyan, because you count it on Chanukah. That's the shaila. If it's only a davar shebaminyan for the mitzvah, but not on the market, you can buy a bunch of candles for Chanukah like in bulk. They sell it in bulk.
Yeah.
So it's not a davar shebaminyan on the market, but it's davar shebaminyan for the mitzvah. Is that called davar shebaminyan in your bittul?
Once you
Very good.
passion it, that's too bad.